It's a story from India's east, but it has dominated the headlines continuously. On this issue, I am joined by Shatrupa, spokesperson Bharatiya Janata Party, Jayant Bhattacharya, senior journalist Gautam Mukherjee, senior journalist, political analyst, and Brijesh Pandey, our input editor. So, Brijesh, first to you, just to sum it up, how Sandeshkhali can said to be a story which has the capacity to change the narrative for Mamata Banerjee?
Well, it's a very important story, and it has all the credentials, which can make for the downfall of Mamata Banerjee. For the reason being, is it's not a politically motivated story. It's a story where women have been suffering for a very long time. The kind of stories that have emerged from a pure horror about the abuse, the sexual abuse, rape, gang rape, women being confined to rooms. Still, the perpetrators are over her, and then she's abandoned, the lands of the poor being grabbed, and nobody in the administration takes notice of this. What is most surprising is that Mamata Banerjee, who's an astute politician, is somehow seen to be or projected to be defending Shah Jahan, or seen to be defending what is happening, and the way there have been several in the party who have raised questions about oh, these women who are leveling allegations do not belong to Sandeshkhali, oh, something is amiss, it's an RSS bastion, and they are trying to sell a fake narrative out on there. Somehow it is not cutting ice with people at large, and the way BJP is going about it, the way left has now Brinda Karat reached today, the way Congress is Adhir Ranjan Chaudhary, responsible for the split between TMC and Congress, is going about it. It's very clear that everybody will want to have a go at this narrative, because this is happening just a month and a half, max couple months before the general election.
Okay, let me go to Jayant Bhattacharya. Jayant, what's the big picture?
I think you raised two pertinent questions, Kartikeya. One is that, is this becoming the kind of situation that had happened earlier in Nandigram? You had seen what happened there. That's a very pertinent question. Number two, where is the person who is behind this? Where is the perpetrator? It's more than a month. It was early January when the ED incident happened, when they went there for the perpetrator. They were beaten up. We know 3 of them were grievously injured. Now, what I find here, taking on from where you started this show, Kartikeya, I think there are failures on two points. One, the administration. They have completely failed in maintaining law and order, in controlling the situation, and it seems like they're just trying to cover it with a fig leaf. And who do they report to? The state government. Who's heading the state government? Mamata Banerjee. The other aspect where there is a huge failure, Kartikeya, is of the ruling party there. Now, who's the chairperson of this ruling party? Again, Mamata Banerjee. Now, ironically, Kartikeya, Mamata Banerjee came riding on a huge tide against what was happening that time, and as if history is repeating itself. That is the reason I started off by saying that you asked very pertinent questions, especially 2 of them, when you started introducing this show. So overall, at this point of time, what we can see is the way the state machinery should run.
Jayant, you made me recall a photo. I'll go to Gautam and then I'll go to Shatrupa, because all of you will stay throughout the show. Gautam, there is an iconic photograph of Mamata Banerjee being beaten in Calcutta. It was the lumpenization of the left which propelled Mamata Banerjee into power. This re-lumpenization of TMC is astounding. It took left 25 to 30 years to reach there. They have their journey has been shortened by 10 years. How's that happened?
Well, the left lost power not unfortunately because of its pogroms, its rapes, its maiming, its burning, its arson, its ballot box stuffing. It lost power because the minority vote, which is a full 30% now, perhaps slightly less in their time, shifted. This is the reason why Shah Jahan is loose. This is the reason why a weakened Mamata is unable to. First of all, half a dozen of our ministers have been caught with mountains of money. Some have. She's fired one recently. The rest are in jail. She has not been able to control the internal situation as she did in the past because her own position is much weaker. She's in the hands of this minority vote because they vote en bloc. And besides the minority vote of 30%, she only needs about 3 to 5% of the general vote, and she's home. So this is the reason why this is happening. Shahjahan is terrorizing this area
But Gautam,
because he can.
Gautam, for me, the biggest issue is lumpenization of politics. Left lost because of that lumpenization. That is why I said, I wish I had that iconic photograph in which Mamata is trying to defend herself, and that guy who's not part of the police force was a CPM, local CPM goon. Local CPM goon
Hitting out.
hitting at Mamata. But in both the cases, you see, it's very easy to say, even in that case, he was a minority. Even in this case, the guy who's absconding a minority. So I really don't want to get into that tangent of debate, but the fact is that lumpenization, the regime changed, the politics changed, but the lumpenization of this cadre-based activity has not changed in the politics of West Bengal. Shatrupa, am I audible to you? Very warm welcome to you for joining my show.
Thank you.
First of all, my question to you, this lumpenization aspect where women can be hit, abducted, I mean to say it's tragic that then the governments change, but this aspect of politics have not been able to be removed, or it has not gone away, has not been able to be tackled by the politicians.
No, Kartik, one thing I would like to mention here, and I'm very glad that you brought it up, because most of the Trinamool spokespersons and sadly many of the channels just want to politicize this, and they're missing the actual point here, that women have been treated like a commodity. Yes, it has been happening down the ages, and we shouldn't be surprised as to why it's still happening, but the light behind all this is that we had some hope, not me, the rest of them had some hope that West Bengal having a woman chief minister and many women ministers, there would be an iota of sensitivity meted out here to these kind of women. But that's not the case. Here you have a chief minister who, I mean, forget about the lamponization, and she justifies that. And she says things like, I don't know how much Bangla you understand, the other two journalists will understand when I say this. She says, shorir thakle jor hobe, rape hobe. Which means if you have a body, you will have fever, you might get raped also. So for her, it's not an issue. A 14-year-old girl gets raped somewhere in Sandeshkhali, and our chief minister goes on to a different forum, a corporate forum, which had nothing to do with this incident. And she says, oh, she was 14 years old. She had an affair. She was probably pregnant. I mean, this is the kind of casual, callous statement the Honorable Chief Minister of West Bengal makes. Number one. Number two, we have a series of women ministers. We have Chandrima Bhattacharya, who is supposed to be West Bengal's finance minister. She says, look at these women. We have a go down of women. So they're commodities. We have Boshirhat's MP. We're coming down to Sandeshkhali now, which is part of Boshirhat. Boshirhat's member of parliament, who's Nusrat Jahan, a very famous actress. Now, she is so busy doing TikTok, she hasn't even bothered to come down to the ground and even talk to them. She sent a voicemail to them on some English message, which these people are not being able to decipher. But coming down to Sandeshkhali very, very specifically, there are two aspects here. One is the women are saying that this kind of sexual abuse has been happening for over a decade, 10 years to 13 years. And they're mentioning the names of these three people, Shah Jahan, Sheikh Shah Jahan, and his two